coming along. My name is Nigel. I'm the CEO of Matter Design Digital. We're an agency who does a lot of e-commerce work, and one of our most important relationships is with BigCommerce. So thanks to Brent, CEO of BigCommerce, for coming along. And Brent, welcome back to Australia. When was the last time you were here?
Pre-pandemic, of course, I guess late 2019. BigCommerce was originally founded here in Sydney, and since I took over for the founders 7 years ago, I was in the habit of coming to Australia twice a year for a week at a time, and it's been a tough 2 years not getting to see my team, a lot of new faces, people I'm meeting for the first time here on the showroom floor.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to be back with everybody.
Yeah, so we actually used BigCommerce technology before it was BigCommerce. It was called Interspire, founded here in Sydney, and great success story for local tech, and now still a big team here in Sydney, right?
That's right. So for those unfamiliar, the story of BigCommerce began with a predecessor company called Interspire. Interspire was founded in 2003 by Sydney-siders Eddie McAlani, whom I had lunch with yesterday, and Mitchell Harper, and it was an email marketing tool with a downloadable shopping cart. And by 2009, they had grown frustrated with the limitations of their downloadable shopping cart and said what their customers and frankly the world really needed was a truly great software as a service all in one platform for SMBs. So they launched that in 2009. It was called BigCommerce, no longer Interspire. It took off within a year, so more than 10,000 merchants by some point in 2010. Interestingly, though, I think 80% of those were in North America, not in Australia, New Zealand. And they realized, wow, if we're going to see the full potential of BigCommerce, we're going to have to build operations in the United States as well. And it was in 2011 that they moved the headquarters to the US, Austin, Texas specifically. But we've always been an Australia-founded first company, I think more than 80 employees here in Australia. A big core of our product and engineering team is here. Our global product leader is here in Australia. And I took over for the founders in 2015.
Yeah, great. And when I see, I know that North America and Australia, like APAC was the kind of two key regions for you. And then more recently, like Europe is a big market for you. And I see a lot of announcements around how well you're doing over there. Like what, can you tell us a little bit about that? Like how you're seen in the European market and and how that's going for BigCommerce?
Yeah, Europe is going spectacularly well for us. In fact, eMerce, which is kind of an equivalent of Forrester or Gartner in the US, recently rated us the best e-commerce platform for enterprise in the world. This is out of the Netherlands, out of Europe. By the way, Forrester rated us ahead of all of our competition too. So it's sort of recently that we're getting accolades as the best enterprise platform in the world. But the reason I think out of the gates we've been so successful is that commerce in Europe is very complex. Almost no brand or retailer limits their sales in Europe to a single country, single currency, single customer group. They're thinking multi-country, multi-currency, multi-language, oftentimes multi-brand out of the box. This is where BigCommerce really shines, with multi-storefront capabilities that somebody like Shopify doesn't have, multi-currency, the ability to do B2B and B2C out of a single platform. These are all the type of complexities that are needed even by small businesses in Europe. And I think that's one of the reasons why we kind of exploded out of the gates when we formally entered in the UK. And we've since now launched in all sorts of other countries: Italy, France, Spain, Netherlands, Germany, and most recently, Denmark, Sweden, and Norway. We've also got a giant, of course this is of interest, we've got a giant population of engineers in Ukraine, 107 employees in Ukraine. And so that whole war there is one that we're frankly involved in, both with staff members who are fighting in the Ukrainian military and all the rest of them who can manage their lives through the drama in Ukraine, and we're big supporters of that team and that country's fight for autonomy.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we've got some staff over there as well. And one of the stories I was really interested to hear in relation to you guys in Ukraine, like I know we've worked with the team on the multi-storefront upgrade. I know a lot of that engineering got done over there, and one of the stories that came out was you guys were doing the launch, the war had started, you didn't expect anyone to, from your team to turn up, but someone did. Can you tell us a bit about that? Were you on that meeting?
Yeah, I was. And I tell you, probably every employee of BigCommerce, including myself, choked up. So the story is, let me tell you why we're in Ukraine. Magento, especially Magento 2, was largely developed in Ukraine. When Adobe bought Magento, this is back in, I think, 2017 maybe, Adobe decided we're going to shut down Ukraine because we, Adobe, do our development out of Barcelona, Spain. And so, well, Ukrainian developers, you can keep working for us if you can figure out how to emigrate into the European Union and live in Barcelona, which of course they weren't going to do. We saw that as an opportunity because we had a number of ex-Magento employees, including 2 of our 3 most senior product leaders were ex-Magento. They knew that these were world-class engineers and developers who had already solved for Magento the hardest problem we wanted to solve, which is multi-storefront. So we said, great, we know these people, they're our friends, they're our ex-colleagues. Let's go hire them into BigCommerce. And that's what we did. We opened up a Ukrainian office. We hired the 2 senior leaders there, Vitaly and Vasily, and we've gone from 0 to, as I mentioned, 107. Multi-storefront is, I think, not just the single hardest product release that we have ever launched at BigCommerce. It's maybe the hardest any e-commerce platform has done because we're multi-tenant SaaS, meaning all 60,000+ of our merchants are on one platform running simultaneously. As an example, Procter & Gamble, world's largest CPG company, all their brands, all their geographies on BigCommerce. When we say we want to go from one account, one store, to now one account, n number of storefronts, it means we have to refactor every part of our code base: catalog, payment, shipping, tax, marketing and promotions. Everything has to be modified relative to before without breaking or interrupting any of the stores. This is multiple years of planning, multiple years of execution, and God willing, we don't break anything. So we're getting close to the finish line. A good chunk of the leadership is in Kiev, Ukraine. War breaks out on February 24th. We're like, shit. We were planning to, pardon my language, launch this at the end of March, at the end of Q1 into general availability. And we get on a global all-hands with our employees. Christina, the amazing product manager that we have in Kiev, comes on, gives us an update, and she says, for avoidance of doubt, everybody, multi-storefront is launching on March 28th, and not even a war can stop it. We all started crying, and sure enough, they pulled it off. It all happened. And we love it. So now, multi-storefront's so valuable because if you're a customer of ours, and on a single backend, single account, you want to launch additional brands and or additional geographies and or additional segments, like add B2B to your B2C or vice versa, that's what you can do with multi-storefront. And we're seeing it really sell like crazy. It's one of the things that truly differentiates an enterprise platform from a non-enterprise platform. Even though we've been selling enterprise for 7+ years, this was always that definitive milestone. If we get to multi-storefront, then we have made ourselves the true alternative to Magento, to Salesforce, to Oracle and SAP at the high end of the market. And we now have that. But what's really cool is we'll even deliver that to our SMB merchants by the end of this year.
Yeah.
You can be on a $30 a month plan, and by the end of this year, click a button, you've just added another storefront.
And the commercials, my understanding is only $100 extra per month for
Enterprise.
another storefront on an enterprise plan. So it's a small incremental cost for the ability to basically like target with a lot more of a specific storefront than you would have otherwise. Or we might have built logic into a single storefront to cater for that, but now we can handle individual storefronts, but aggregate all the customers, orders, products. So it means if you're managing a big range of products, all that information can now be used across multiple storefronts.
That's right.
At a click of a button. So it's a pretty cool feature.
Yeah, there's great use cases. Like technically the first company to go live with multi-storefront, they did it in beta, but like Nokia phones relaunched across Europe on BigCommerce. One of the biggest launches was Ted Baker, the apparel brand. When they launched, it was, I forget how many stores, but kind of all across continental European Union, major countries. We're seeing it here in Australia, New Zealand, really be adopted pretty broadly too.
Yeah, and we've used it on some headless builds. And for us, it really, that concept of channels, which you guys have had for a while, now becomes a lot more powerful for the merchant because they can configure more in the BigCommerce admin than they could previously, which opens up a whole lot of opportunity, which is a great deal. So before we started talking about doing this, we were going to talk about composable commerce. We've done a lot of work around headless in the last couple of years. Composable commerce is really, I think, enabled by headless. We can build a stack with a whole lot of different like tools for the trade, and we can build a storefront on top of that. One of the things I've always heard you say over the last probably 3 or 4 years is that your focus is to be the best SaaS e-commerce platform. Is that still the case? Would you say, and how does that fit into composable commerce?
Yeah, so kind of the history of our evolution. When I came in and took over for the founders in 2015, BigCommerce was SMB centric, and we were the second biggest SaaS platform for SMBs in the world, but we were years behind Shopify. They had a 5-year head start, and they had already IPO'd. I realized that we can't keep doing the same thing as Shopify and solve a problem that is different that the world needs us to solve. I had a lot of experience. I've been in e-commerce for, since the beginning of e-commerce. And I felt like the big problem the world needed was a SaaS successor to Magento. I knew Magento super well. I was 10 years at PayPal and eBay. My boss was in the process of acquiring Magento back in 2010 when I left PayPal as head of product. And I couldn't believe in the year 2015, if you're a mid-market or large enterprise business, your best open, flexible enterprise solution was on-premise software that you had to buy, license, customize, secure version. That's too hard for most businesses. The world needed a SaaS successor to Magento. What that meant we had to do, though, was turn BigCommerce into enterprise and turn BigCommerce into open. And we adopted the term open SaaS as a competitor to open source. In the 7 years since then, we have then refactored the entire platform so that every component of our product is in essence like a microservice. It's composable. It has an API on the front end, it has an SDK, and any business can then extend it, modify it, integrate with it. Any agency, any tech partner can. We've got this religious commitment to open commerce. We want to be the best SaaS open platform in the world and work with the best payments companies, the best point of sale software, the best email marketing and automation, and be open, that open version of SaaS. So now composable and where headless comes along, 1 year later was 2016, and we realized one of the most important versions of open SaaS or open commerce was to support headless. We were one of the first companies to jump all in on enabling headless commerce. And in fact, our first customer to go live was General Electric, with an unbelievably cool and complex use case. Harvard Business Publishing, Harvard University was the second one to go live. We were an early joiner of the MOC Alliance around composable commerce. And I would say today we're the global leader, so much so that many of the leading content management systems will lead with a demo of BigCommerce. Contentful does, Content Stack does, Bloomreach does, but we work with custom frameworks. We've had thousands of merchants with WordPress as a front end. We are all in on headless and composable for businesses who want to do it that way. And at the same time, you can also design and manage your storefront user experience within our Stencil framework. So nobody does both better than we do, in my opinion. We want to be, you can even do it in the same platform. So with multi-storefront, a business can have one or more storefronts where you design and manage your user experience out of Stencil, the native theming platform, and do a number of stores using whatever front ends you want.
Yeah, and we've done exactly that. Sometimes B2C, we might put more investment in that front end as a headless front end, but then like B2B, we might use a BigCommerce theme, Stencil theme, because we get a lot out of the box with that. So there's a lot of flexibility there, and it gives you a lot of options. And when we talk about composable commerce with our clients, for us, it's about getting the best tool from doing each part of the system. And
so you could probably, Nigel, tell a story like how you did it with Video Pro, how you did it with Foresight helmets, how you did it with TradeLink, how you did it with, each of these deployments. Maybe some are composable and headless, some are not.
Yeah, I mean, I guess composable is a term that's come out maybe since you started that strategy, but what we see is like selling in the best tool for the job means that we can create the best experience. So you mentioned Video Pro, that's a headless site built with a Gatsby front end that we've created. We've got a PIM in place because getting product live fast is a really important thing for them. So we've got Akenio in there. And we pick the tools that are going to suit their business best. And what BigCommerce does well is work well with those other technologies. So it's not about trying to do everything, which is a strategy for some platforms. It's really about sort of like more kind of staying in your lane and like working well with the other technologies. And what I see the benefit for our customers is they're basically buying into technology companies that are putting all their R&D behind being the best at a certain thing, like you guys are doing with commerce. And by doing that, you're getting R&D benefit from your whole stack, continually improving your technology and keeping pace with things that are changing, which is something I see like the more monolithic architectures struggling to do, because they might focus in one area but not others, whereas a headless architecture gives you more flexibility there. And it means that we can, from a front end point of view, we have no real limitations. We can really build any logic into that front end. We can build a lot of speed into the front end. We get scores above 90 from Google Lighthouse with the builds that we do. So we get this lightning fast user experience, which is no one doesn't like speed. So we find that's a bit of a crowd pleaser. So we've spoken a bit about multi-storefront, which I think is the most exciting thing recently. We've spoken a bit about, you mentioned the IPO, but for merchants in this region, another exciting announcement is you can get local hosting on enterprise stores, which will really speed things up. And for some people, they like to keep their data more local. So can you tell us what's available there?
Yeah, so our customers globally are hosted on the Google Cloud Platform, and we have now implemented hosting within a region for stores that are in region. So if you are starting up a new store on BigCommerce, enterprise store in Australia, you're going to be hosted in Australia, and you're going to get blazing fast speeds, even without a headless. Because if you're headless, then you're managing that front end. But if you're on BigCommerce Stencil, you're going to get local hosting and blazing fast speeds here. We've also rolled that out in Europe with Google Cloud out of Frankfurt. So we're truly going to localize hosting for our merchants around the world to get top ranking in the Google Lightspeed scores and all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, great. And one of the things I wanted to pick your brain on is like we're all local here. We things happen in region with trends around e-commerce. Are there trends that you're seeing in other regions that are unique to those regions, and are there trends that you see here that are unique that aren't in other parts of the world?
So one of the trends that I am most excited about, and will definitely come to this region if it's not already here, is one-click checkout enabled by two-factor authentication, not by passwords. So the old model is for a consumer to do a one-click like checkout on a merchant website, they have to have an account with a password and a stored credit card. I think that model is going to go away. The required password is going to go away because with two-factor these days, you can be a consumer cookied on a machine and a payment processor can recognize you from prior sessions on that machine in that IP address, even on other merchant websites. And if they want to authenticate you, they can authenticate you again through two-factor by sending a 4-digit code to your text or to your email address. But the point is, with that authentication, okay, it's not one click, it's 2-click. You don't have to log in. You don't have to stave your credit card at each individual merchant. That can even be on product detail pages. So you can get a one-click buy now checkout like you would on Amazon on the PDP. So that is coming. That is quite popular now in the United States, but we're going to be introducing it, with BigCommerce customers in our open way. It'll be with multiple payment providers, not just one proprietary one, as it is with one of our competitors.
Yeah, that's super cool. I think that friction of logging in is a real pain point for everyone. So that's really exciting. We've got some customers we're working with that one-click checkout for logged-in customers because we know shipping address and payment methods. So we're speeding up that process, but the 2FA will really sort of help that as well. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. You could, as a consumer, land on a merchant website you've never been at before, and yet get a 1 or a 2-click checkout experience on that merchant.
Yeah. And I was just in the States. I know that we have click and collect here. It's quite common. But going to, say, Walmart and picking up from curbside pickup is a big trend. It hasn't really taken off here. Do you think that's something that we would be seeing here in time?
I do, and we're particularly excited about our multi-location inventory APIs, which is a new release for us that lets a business basically manage inventory stock at multiple stores and or multiple warehouses. And then within the checkout, the consumer has the experience of picking a store that they might want to click and collect from, or alternatively, the merchant can then optimize based on the location of the consumer which warehouse they will ship from. And so that's a capability that we are enabling, and we're excited to see great partners like you take advantage of that, with click and collect user experience within the store environment.
Yeah, I mean, we've built click and collect on a number of our omni-channel clients, and with them, we're using an inventory source. So we're tapping into an inventory source to work out where the stock is in their network, and then also checking whether we can actually enable a click and collect for that location. So once we get that into BigCommerce and have all that inventory managed there, that will, in some cases, be a better solution. we always take the view that we don't want to be replicating data in too many systems. We try and work from the source of truth as much as possible. So working from an OMS or from an ERP can be a good solution there. But yeah, we worked with your team on the MLI multi-location inventory API, so we're excited about that. And we've got a product called Localizer, which we're going to be releasing as a SaaS platform soon, which will tap into that. So that will leverage those APIs, and Localizer is all around leveraging the physical locations that might be a warehouse, might be a store, and making that a more important part of the e-commerce experience. So that's going to work natively with BigCommerce, which is a really exciting launch that we'll do. But yeah, we're going to be launching that very soon. We're in beta right now, so.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we've, can you tell us maybe a little bit more?
So I think they're starting to clap. Are we at time?
Oh, we're time.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm being told
we'll
we're
wrap
at
up.
time.
We have a game that we're running here at Online Retailer. We've got a slide. It's called Word Hunt. If anyone's like a fan of Wordle, play this game. Basically, go around to our partner stands. Each stand, you'll be able to scan their QR code, get another letter. And once you get the letters, you can guess the word. And if you guess successfully, you will be going in the running for a $2,000 gift voucher to any of our clients. So we've got a range of clients that you could choose from, maybe Pillow Talk, Trudy. Yeah, so have fun with that and come by our stand. We're right next to BigCommerce, just in the center of the Expo. So please come up and say hello, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for joining us. And I just want to do a final little plug. BigCommerce works with great agency partners all around the world, 5 continents, and Nigel and Matter Design are truly one of the best we work with anywhere, both in terms of technical competence and service as well as people. So it's a delight to be a partner of yours, and they're worth all of your getting to know if you don't already. So thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Brent. Thanks, Brent.
Cheers.